Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV with support from the Southwest TV Translator Association.
If you have a news topic or event you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show runs Wednesday at noon, 3 and 6 p.m. and again is re-aired later throughout the weekend with the other weekday broadcast replays. Today is January 24th, 2018, and now the news at noon.
According to the Durango Herald, scientists are reporting progress on a blood test to detect many types of cancer at an early stage, including some of the most deadly ones that lack screening tools now. Many groups are working on liquid biopsy tests, which look for DNA and other things that tumors shed into blood to try to find cancer before it spreads, when chances of cure are best. In a study Thursday in the journal Science, Johns Hopkins University scientists look to see how well their experimental test detected cancer in people already known to have the disease. The blood tests found about 70% of 8 common types of cancer in the 1,005 patients. The rates varied depending on the type, lower for breast tumors, but high for ovarian, liver, and pancreatic ones. In many cases, the test narrowed the possible origin of the cancer to one or two places, such as colon or lung, important for limiting how much follow-up testing a patient might need. It gave only 7 false alarms when tried on 812 others without cancer. The test is nowhere near ready for use yet. It needs to be validated in a larger study already underway in a general population, rather than cancer patients, to see if it truly works and helps save lives, the best measure of a screening test's value.
The Journal reports that McPhee is likely to fill for farmers' irrigation needs. Thanks to recent improvements in snowpack, full-service irrigators of McPhee Reservoir are expected to get a full supply this farming season, officials reported. But it will take a miracle from the snow god Earl for a whitewater spill below the dam this year. That's what they're saying. Snowpack average in the Dolores Basin jumped from 20% at the beginning of January to 44% after the latest storm last weekend. Back-to-back storms on January 10th and 20th are a step in the right direction, said Mike Preston, general manager of the Dolores Water Conservancy District. Irrigation supply in the lake was already at 50%, 136,000 acre-feet, going into winter thanks to last year's record snowpack and runoff, he said. The carryover, combined with forecast runoff of current snowpack, will be enough for a full water supply or close to it, he said. Based on conservative probability forecasts using historical averages, the reservoir is expected to reach full irrigator capacity of 260,000 acre-feet. If the winter totally dries up, there may be some minimal shortages. A good sign is that a high-pressure ridge that has been blocking storms from southwest Colorado appears to be breaking down, officials observe, paving the way for more of a typical winter pattern of one storm every 10 days. However, the probability for a whitewater boating spill is unlikely unless the Dolores Basin gets some mega storms that drop 2 to 3 feet in the mountains between Dolores and Lizard Head Pass, Preston said. Winter water supply forecasts are critical for farmers planning for the upcoming season as they decide how much seed and fertilizer to buy. All the numbers are telling us that the water will be there for full farming, Preston said.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, Mancos residents came out in force to the Mancos School Board's meeting on Monday night to voice their opinions on the main agenda item, arming school staff. About 60 residents, teachers, and parents attended the meeting, and 22 people addressed the board. Of the 22, 3 were favored arming staff, 3 were on the fence, and 16 opposed arming staff. Some were concerned about the district's current security measures, the social and emotional health of students, and the lack of notice given to parents about the issue. Some commented that they did not want to overreact to the recent Aztec High School shooting, and some hoped that the recently passed bond measure would help fund security improvements on campus. In the end, school board members voted to wait and see if planned construction improvements would make the campus more secure. Josh Gardner, a Mancos parent and health teacher, has mixed feelings about arming staff with guns. Dolores 4th grade teacher Sherry Grozda was concerned of creating a fearful learning environment. Other board members questioned whether current security measures were sufficient. Board Vice President Bo Hawkins questioned whether the board had done its due diligence by reaching out to community members and parents on the issue. Hunter made the motion to pursue policies and procedures related to armed staff and armed security officers at schools. After a second by Hawkins, the motion failed 4-1. Only Hunter voted in favor of the motion. The board agreed to remind school staff to monitor doors. Mitchell told Superintendent Brian Hansen that the current security at the district was unacceptable.
Reported in Westword.com online in a marijuana moment. Although only 9 marijuana bills have been introduced in the Colorado legislature so far this session, they still deal with some weighty issues. The proposals include some controversial measures such as at-home marijuana delivery, a quick fix to the 2017 legislative error that is costing RTD and other special districts millions of dollars in funding, and the development of a tracking agent that would be applied to commercial pot plants and products. SB 021, Marijuana Closed Loop Payment System Pilot Project. This bill creates a closed loop payment processing system pilot project in the Marijuana State Licensing Authority. It is under consideration, and a hearing with the Senate Business, Labor, and Technology Committee is scheduled for Wednesday, January 24th. SB 029 is the development of marijuana tracking technology. This is the one we reported on last week. The bill requires the Institute of Cannabis Research at Colorado State University, Pueblo, to develop marijuana tracking technology. The technology must include an agent that is applied to a marijuana plant, marijuana product, industrial hemp, or industrial hemp product and then scanned by a device. This one is simply under consideration with the Senate Business, Labor, and Technology Committee. SB 088, taxation of retail marijuana sales, is before the enactment of Senate Bill 17267. The state levied 2 sales taxes on retail marijuana sales. The 2.9% general sales state tax levied pursuant to Article 26 of Title 39 CRS, and the retail marijuana sales tax, a 10% special sales tax levied on retail marijuana sales only pursuant to Article 28.8 of the Title 39 CRS. Senate Bill 17267 increased the total rate of state sales tax levied on retail marijuana sales as authorized by prior voter approval by exempting retail marijuana sales from the 2.9% general state sales tax and increasing the rate of the retail marijuana sales from 10% tax to 15% tax effective July 1st of 2017. This more clearly defines who can levy sales taxes on retail marijuana sales. And this is currently under consideration. A hearing with the Senate Finance Committee happened on Tuesday, January 23rd. HB 1011, Marijuana Business Allow Publicly Traded Owners. This bill redefines the terms of direct beneficial interest and permitted economic interest so that only those who own more than 5% of the shares of stock in a marijuana business have to go through the disclosure and background investigations. This one is under consideration with the House Finance Committee. The next one is HB 1023 to relocate Title 12 marijuana to the new Title 44. The current law directs the Office of Legislative Legal Services to study the organizational recodification of Title 12 of the Colorado Revised Statutes, which relates to professions and occupations. One recommendation of the study is to relocate laws located in Title 12 that are administered by the Department of Revenue to a new Title 44, which will consist solely of laws administered by the Department of Revenue that regulate a variety of activities. This one is also under consideration, having a hearing with the House Judiciary Committee yesterday, Tuesday, January 23rd. HB 1053 is reclaimed water use for marijuana cultivation. The bill codifies rules promulgated by the Water Quality Control Commission of the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment concerning allowable uses of reclaimed domestic wastewater, which is wastewater that has been treated for subsequent reuses other than drinking water. This one is under consideration, and a hearing with the House and Agriculture, Livestock, and Natural Resources Committee happened on Monday, January 22nd. HB 1062 is sales tax on retail marijuana, March 1st, 2018. The bill repeals the general state sales tax exemption for sales of retail marijuana and reduces the retail marijuana sales tax by 2.9% from 15% to 12.1%. With the repeal of the state exemption, sales of retail marijuana will automatically be subject to the sales tax levied by a limited purpose governmental entity whose sales tax authority is the same as the state. Currently, that's under consideration. A hearing with the House Finance Committee is set for Wednesday, January 24th. HB 1092, hang on, only a few more left, Marijuana Delivery Pilot Project. The bill creates a pilot program to allow marijuana delivery. And this is under consideration with the House Finance Committee. And finally, HB 1101, Retail Marijuana Sales Tax Appropriations for Schools. The bill eliminates the continuous appropriation of the revenue in the state fiscal year in which it is transferred to the state public school fund, and instead specifies that beginning in state fiscal year 2019 to 20, the General Assembly may appropriate all or any portion of the revenue transferred to the State Public School Fund during the prior state fiscal year to the Department of Education to help meet the state share of total program funding for school districts and institute charter schools. This, too, is under consideration with the House Finance Committee.
According to the Cortez Journal, the April Dolores Town Board election will be competitive and includes 12 candidates for 4 board seats and 2 candidates for the mayor position. The names will be released when the submitted nomination packets are verified, town officials said. The deadline to submit a candidate packet was Monday. It is the most interest we've seen in a while, Mayor Santiago Lopez said during the board workshop on Monday. Also, 6 candidates have submitted applications for the open town manager position. The deadline to turn in an application is Friday, January 26th. To narrow the field to 3 or 4 finalists, the board scheduled a special meeting for January 30th to be held in executive session under the personnel category. Board members will review the applications and determine which ones will move on to formal interviews. According to the Colorado Open Records Law, once the finalists for a city manager position are chosen, the names must be made public, and no appointment may be made less than 14 days after the finalists are named. Also at the workshop, the new Parks Advisory Committee met with the board to get guidance. The group will research playground designs and look for sources of fundraising, then report back to the board. The Parks Committee set regular meeting times for the second Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. at the Dolores Community Center. Grant professional Chris Burkett will give a presentation on funding options at the first meeting on February 14th. The meetings are open to the public, and regular reports will be made at the regular town board workshop held every 4th Monday at 6:30 p.m. The committee was formed after the playground was closed for safety reasons, then removed. The town is planning to replace it with one that requires less maintenance. Board members noted that the controversial playground issue has divided the community, but they said they hoped they could come together toward building a new one. And now let's take a look at the weather.
The National Weather Map from the National Weather Service Prediction Center, powered by Raytheon Technology data, shows that most of the country is still residing under a high-pressure system holding back precipitation for the most part, while temperatures remain along averages, and the East Coast is actually quite mild due to the Pacific air in the jet stream replacing that Arctic cold air that came down across Canada last month. Turmoil in the Pacific Northwest continues to bring rain and snow mix to that area, and a low-pressure system holds off the coast in the Atlantic for today. Again, the mix of rain and thunderstorms remains up and down the East Coast, with rain and snow mix back over the Appalachians and north to the Great Lakes and New England. Predictions currently hold that a real cold winter snap won't arrive across the U.S. until the second week of February. Regionally, high pressure will rebuild over eastern Utah and western Colorado today and keep conditions dry and mostly sunny. Temperatures will be cooler and slower to warm due to valley inversions. Breezy to windy conditions will occur Thursday with milder temperatures ahead of the next storm system, with most valley inversions expected to break. The next chance for rain and snow arrives Thursday night and Friday, favoring the northern and central mountains at this time. The local weather for DCTV's 5-day outlook reflects the regional calm and dry predictions. Today, sunny with a high near 38, south winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 20, south-southeast winds 10 to 15. Then Thursday, mostly sunny. National Weather Service shows a high near 46, while local info is showing just 39 degrees. It'll be windy with south winds 15 to 20 miles an hour, increasing to 25 to 30 in the morning. Winds could gust as high as 45 miles an hour. Thursday night, it'll be mostly cloudy with a low around 20. South winds 10 to 15, decreasing to 5 to 10 after midnight. Winds could gust as high as 25 miles an hour overnight. Then Friday, mostly sunny. Our data showing a high of 48, while the news shows a high near 37. South winds 5 to 10 miles an hour, becoming west-northwest in the afternoon. Friday night, partly cloudy with a low around 24. Saturday, sunny with a high near 37. Saturday night, mostly clear and a low around 24 again. Sunday, sunny with a high near 38. Sunday night, mostly clear with a low down around 18 degrees. And we continue to have mild winter weather into the start of next week. On Monday, mostly sunny with a high near 41. Monday night, partly cloudy with a low around 22. And now, back to the news.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, with the end of rutting season for deer and elk, many a motorist has seen roadkill along the shoulders of U.S. Highways 160 and 550 and the more frugal drivers may have wondered, hey, can I harvest some of that meat? Joe Lewandowski, spokesman for Colorado Parks and Wildlife, said while the practice is not encouraged and it is to your advantage to know what you are doing, there is a permit residents can obtain within 48 hours after harvesting roadkill to make the acquisition legal and square with the state. Daniel Hines, a hunter and tanner for the past 17 seasons who harvests roadkill several times a year, says it is not a job for the squeamish, and those who take advantage of the free meal are often up to your elbows in blood and guts, and you have to deal with a lot of unpleasant smells. As a veteran hunter, Hines said he can assess good meat from bad, which is crucial in dealing with the trauma an animal suffers after it is hit. The hindquarters and the front quarters are often ruined depending on where the animal was killed. Hines sees it as his duty to harvest the meat. Lance Gideon, another hunter, agrees. The best thing about harvesting roadkill is the frugality and economical ethic behind the act. Another benefit from harvesting roadkill, Hines said, is the hide can be salvaged, and because it does not have a bullet hole, it can be of excellent quality for tanners. Also, the brain can be harvested for use as an emulsifier in traditional tanning practices as a replacement for chemicals used in commercial tanning.
Rollout of bacteria used to battle oil spills and cheatgrass is reported in the freerangereport.com. 2 strains of Pseudomonas fluorescens bacterium named D7 and MB906 are being used because they can be applied in areas where perennial grasses and non-native grasses both grow. Other strains of the diverse bacteria have also been used successfully to clean oil spills in groundwater. Matt Germano, supervisory research ecologist with the U.S. Geological Survey in Boise, is overseeing an innovative research project to use weed-suppressive bacteria to control non-native invasive cheatgrass and medusa head. We're seeing some interesting activity so far, says Germano, referring to plant growth on 84 small research plots in southwestern Idaho. The 3-year study began in the late summer of 2016. The plots are in 3 areas that were selected because annuals and perennials co-dominate. The areas are north of Eagle on Bureau of Land Management land in the Snake River Plain and on state land in the Owyhees. Applying bacteria isn't a magic bullet, but one of several tools that could be used to help restore land with native vegetation, he says. A systemic approach is the ticket. We need to combine what we learned from this research with grazing patterns and protecting the vigor of desirable native species. The study focuses on applying certain bacteria to cheatgrass and medusa head to inhibit the plant's root growth. 2 strains of Pseudomonas fluorescens bacterium, named D7 and MB906, are being used because they can be applied in areas where perennial grasses and non-native grasses both grow. Other strains of the diverse bacteria have also been used successfully, as we said before, to clean up oil spills in groundwater. To learn how best to use both of those items, researchers are doing controlled burns and then applying bacterium with and without herbicides that kill non-native grasses and with and without tillage. The bacteria were also used in the aftermath of the 2015 Soda Fire in Owyhee County and fires in 2016 in hopes of giving perennial grasses a chance to grow without competition from cheatgrass. This may be one way to help restore burned areas to prevent the spread of exotic annuals, says Germano. We want to give desirable species a chance to fill in the void.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, a La Plata County woman charged with 114 counts of animal cruelty was hit with 2 additional charges after investigators allegedly found a poached elk on her property near County Road 122 in Durango during a massive seizure late last year. Elizabeth Mira, age 47, who also goes by the last name Jackson, was charged December 27th with unlawful possession of wildlife as well as unlawfully transporting portions of wildlife. She faces up to a $1,440 fine, according to court documents. On November 15th, La Plata Animal Protection, in cooperation with several other agencies, seized more than 110 animals from the property, which included 13 dogs, a cat, 17 pigs, 61 goats, 7 sheep, horses, a burro, a duck, 2 chickens, and 3 cattle. The list obtained by the Durango Herald excluded 10 other animals, including a horse that was euthanized. Mira was originally charged with 105 counts of animal cruelty. 6th Judicial District Attorney Christian Champagne said Tuesday prosecutors updated that to 114 counts. Champaign declined to comment further on the open case. Miera lived on the property with her partner Jeffrey Jackson, who faces 115 counts of animal cruelty. It appears Jackson owns the land according to county documents. Joe Lewandowski, spokesman for the Colorado Parks and Wildlife, said when authorities were at the property conducting the seizure, they found the poached cow elk and alerted CPW. CPW then found neither Jackson nor Miera had a license to hunt the elk legally and issued the ticket. Only Miera was cited. The unlawful transport charge may refer to the couple moving the elk from where it was shot to their property, Lewandowski said. On top of the potential fine, Miera may lose her hunting and fishing privileges in the state.
Here's an article in the Future is Now type of segment. This one is from CNET.com. This one is about the dominance of Facebook and how this week they just changed the definition of time to be called the flick. Now, this might sound extreme, but researching historically back to the time of the Sumerians, and you'll be surprised on just how and why we count 60 seconds in a minute and so forth based on sixes, but that's another story. So Facebook introduced a new unit of time on Monday called the flick. The company thinks it'll be useful for programmers, if not for taking into the real world life. Different cultures disagree about whether recipes use cups or grams or whether your car odometer counts miles or kilometers. But humanity has settled on the second as the universal unit to measure time, whatever that is. Facebook's new tick-tock technique, though, is geared for people who deal in inconvenient slivers of a second. Why? Because programmers have to deal with things like phone and laptop screens that refresh frequently with fractions of a second that make math unpleasant. If this all seems like worrisome complexity in your life, just relax, take off your watch, and try not to remember that a second is defined as the duration of 9,192,631,770 cycles of a microwave radio signal tuned to get cesium-133 atoms to resonate. Here's an example of why flicks are useful in video game programming. In a game that displays at 60 frames per second, software gets a time budget of 16.667 milliseconds, rounded off, to figure out how to paint thousands of pixels worth of moving aliens, racetracks, tanks, or trolls onto the screen. It's not just games. Web browsers, word processors, and other software need to pay attention to these slices of time to make sure scrolling and animation stay smooth. But it's a pain talking about 16.667 milliseconds, and even with slivers of time a billionth of a second long, programs can suffer from rounding errors. The flick is a, 1/705,600,000th of a second, which Facebook concluded is a convenient and nice round foundation for many different measurements. For 60 frame per second refresh rates, for example, a computer has 11,760,000 flicks to create each new screen frame. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to handle the supremely awkward video standard of 29.97 frames per second, but there is a mathematical kludge. It's 30 times 1,000 over 1,001. Okay, too much math for me, but I thought you should know. And if you want to know more, you can download Facebook's open source software for counting in flicks from github.com.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of January 15th through the 21st. While on routine patrol, an officer noticed a motorist on the side of the road with its gas cap open. It was learned that the motorist was awaiting a tow. Since it was getting dark, for the safety of the motorist, the officer remained on scene until their help arrived. Shortly after 6 p.m. during the snowstorm, a vehicle traveling northbound on Highway 491 lost control and left the roadway, traveling approximately 150 feet toward the canyon wall. A Dolores County Sheriff's officer responded to the scene. Remarkably, the motorist suffered no major injury, but was cited for careless driving by the Colorado State Patrol. That concludes today's roundup. Stay tuned for continued updates.
And in today's High Canyon Country happenings, January 27th from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Sunflower Theater in Cortez, Strange Americans will be performing. It's a little raw, a bit loud, unapologetic, and honest. It's Americana rock and roll, and it's something that Denver's Strange Americans are crafting with both brawn and finesse, like a hot rod mechanic bringing back an old barn find. General admission is $15. January 27th from 6 to 10 p.m. is Winterfest 2018 held by Mesa Verde National Park. The Moorfield Campground winter trails will be open for hiking, snowshoeing, or cross-country skiing by moonlight. Follow glow sticks to find complimentary hot beverages near a friendly campfire. viewing conditions permitting, storytelling, socializing, and great camaraderie. It's open to all ages, no reservations are needed. Parking is available at the Moorfield store at Moorfield Campground for 4 miles from the park entrance. Dress for the cold, bring appropriate outdoor gear, and a headlamp or flashlight. Snowshoes are available depending on the presence of snow, which still looks doubtful. Rico's Winter Carnival will take place January 27th and 28th. Activities include a snow bike tour, cross-country ski and lessons, and a four-person team pond hockey tournament, as well as a chili potluck dinner and beer. Adults and children are welcome. Children not welcome to the beer, they say. The pond hockey tournament will be $100 per team. All other activities are free, including bike demos. All activities will take place or start and finish in Town Park behind the Rico Elementary School. The schedule is preliminary and subject to change. Check it out on the town's Parks and Rec page, which is at ricocolorado.gov. And all of these happenings are posted on the DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the YouTube replays, weather, and original stories and local posts. To share your event or information, you can email us at dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station 970-677-4119, and we'll be sure to get your news on air.
Thanks for tuning in. News at Noon airs at noon Monday through Thursday and then is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. on each of those days. The weekday news shows are then replayed throughout the weekend as well.
And be sure to check us out on Facebook. It's DCTV News at Noon. Please like us there and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook with DCTV and the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.